Xtalks connects professionals in the life science, medical device, and food industries with useful content like webinars, job openings, articles, and virtual meetings to help you succeed in your career. This food industry-focused podcast brings together some of our editorial staff to share insights into the latest B2B industry news to help keep you up to date.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Xtalks Food Podcast. I'm Sydney Perlmutter, Senior Food Industry Journalist and Webinar Moderator at Xtalks.com, and this week I'm joined by Vera Kovacevic. Thank you so much for coming today. So I'm going to start us off with an interesting story about a industry within the beverage market that I don't really talk about that much, and that is the hemp market. So hemp beverages are actually, they've been growing in pretty rapidly in recent years, and they offer a range of health benefits, and they're sort of a refreshing alternative to just your regular drinks. Now, the passing of the 2018 Farm Bill, which I'll talk about a little bit more in detail a bit later, this legalized hemp production, it boosted this market, obviously, and it allowed companies to sort of explore hemp as a primary beverage ingredient. And this legislation removed hemp from the list of controlled substances, allowing for its cultivation and commercialization across the U.S. And since then, the market has seen a steady influx of new products, including hemp-infused teas, sparkling waters, and protein shakes even. So hemp beverages are made from hemp seed oil or hemp extracts, and they provide nutritional benefits without the psychoactive effects of THC. And this market has seen significant growth due to the rising number of consumer interest and in health and wellness, coupled with increasing awareness of hemp's nutritional properties. Hemp seeds are, if you didn't know, they're pretty rich in essential fatty acids, vitamins, and proteins, making them an attractive beverage ingredient. And, when you find an ingredient like this, of course, several companies are going to try to make their way into this market, and they each sort of offer unique products to cater to diverse consumer preferences. And one company that offers these beverages is called Kelia, and it's known for its range of hemp-infused sparkling waters. It focuses on providing refreshing, low-calorie beverages that incorporate the health benefits of hemp, targeting consumers who seek both taste and wellness in their drinks. And another company is called Recess, which offers a line of sparkling waters infused with hemp extract and adaptogens. And Recess aims to promote relaxation and stress relief, appealing to a growing demographic interested in mental well-being and functional beverages. And its branding and marketing strategies have resonated well with younger, health-conscious consumers. So I wanted to sort of talk a little bit about what you think about these hemp beverages. But before I was writing about food, I was writing about the cannabis industry, and hemp was always one of those things that we never really knew about the regulations behind it, and there were so many claims being made about hemp. Just, preliminarily when I was talking about this, what do you think about these beverages? Do you believe that they do have legitimate health benefits?
Well, it's kind of almost contradictory because apparently they say that they don't have the psychoactive effects. Mm-hmm. So how do they promote relaxation and stress relief?
That's a very good point. So have you ever heard of CBD?
It's a chemical compound.
Yes. So CBD, so often in the cannabis, realm, they, two things are talked about: THC, which is the psychoactive compound, and then CBD, which they say is not the psychoactive compound, but still promotes or still can cause relaxation and calmness. So you can purchase cannabis with that is just CBD. So you're not necessarily getting that psychoactive effect, but apparently you get, the relaxation and calmness and whatever else. So that's what I believe that hemp is. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. So I'm assuming that's why in 2018, the Farm Bill, it removed it from the list of controlled substances.
Yes.
Was it hemp, or was it anything that has hemp, or do you know anything more about that bill? What exactly did they remove? You said
it was hemp. Yeah, okay. It was hemp. And so in the Farm Bill, they define hemp as cannabis with less than 0.3% THC.
Oh,
so it has to have under that amount so that it couldn't cause psychoactive effects. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so I'm just trying to picture hemp in my mind. So
right? Yeah.
What is it? Is it like I guess there's some strains of cannabis that have low amounts and they're considered hemp. Like, I'm just not understanding what is cannabis versus hemp.
Okay, so for my sort of limited knowledge, how I always viewed hemp is that it isn't something to be ingested, like smoked.
Okay.
You won't, at least I don't think so. And where you'd see hemp is like, yeah, in beverages or in, other like food products. But a lot of the time it would be in like skincare or like, lotions and things like that. Hemp-infused body lotions that would claim to help with, pain or something like that. So that's what I think hemp is. And in terms of visualizing it, I still think it is a plant.
Yeah.
I think it's a plant.
Yeah. I'm just trying to imagine in my head. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's interesting. But I've personally never heard of like hemp-infused products at all.
Mm-hmm.
So these new beverages, this is totally new to me.
I'm also very curious to know what they would taste like. And the ones I was, mentioning, the companies that produce them are sparkling beverages. And I wonder if they're sparkling to mask a taste or, it's...
Yeah, maybe it doesn't taste that great.
I mean, I can't imagine it would taste amazing,
Yeah.
So maybe that's why it's sparkling. But I'll talk a little bit about some of the regulations around hemp. So the regulatory landscape for hemp in the U.S. is complex, and it's also continually evolving. So I mentioned that the Farm Bill, it was a pretty pivotal moment for the industry, which legalized the production and sale of hemp. And this distinction allowed for the legal cultivation and commercial use of hemp across various industries, including now beverages. But this legalization of hemp did not mean a free-for-all. The U.S. FDA plays a crucial role in regulating hemp products, particularly those intended for consumption. The FDA's stance has been cautious, focusing on ensuring that hemp beverages and other products are safe for consumers. So companies must navigate stringent guidelines regarding labeling, health claims, and quality control. So, for example, the FDA prohibits companies from making unverified health claims about hemp beverages. Any claims about the benefits of hemp must be backed by science evidence, and companies must avoid suggesting that their products can treat or cure diseases. And additionally, manufacturers must adhere to good manufacturing practices, or GMP, to ensure the safety and consistency of their products, of course. State regulations also play a crucial role in the hemp beverage market. So it's a little different in the States than it is here in Canada. While the 2018 Farm Bill legalized hemp at the federal level, individual states have their own rules and regulations. So some states have embraced hemp production and commercialization, creating a supportive environment for businesses, but others have imposed stricter regulations limiting the types of hemp products that can be sold. And then moreover, the transportation of hemp products across state lines can also be a little bit challenging. Although federal laws allow for the interstate commerce of hemp, discrepancies in state regulations can create hurdles for businesses, and companies have to be a little bit vigilant in understanding and complying with both federal and state laws to avoid legal issues. So yeah, it's a little bit more about sort of the complex and ever-changing regulations around hemp. In your opinion, do you think that the FDA is too stringent on hemp or not stringent enough?
I would say that they have the just right amount of regulatory.
Yeah, that's option 3. Just enough.
Yeah, that's in my opinion because, so it was legalized, but I think there's probably clear guidance for, manufacturers of hemp products, and I'm pretty sure that their regulations are fair. I don't think they're being too strict, and I don't think they're being too relaxed on it either. Hearing some of the guidelines that you said, just making sure that they don't have any claims that are untrue. I mean, that applies for the entire food industry and wellness industry too. But it seems like there are lots of specific regulations and guidelines just for hemp. So I feel like these companies probably hire consultants or have their own team of consultants to help them navigate this regulatory landscape because it seems very specific just towards hemp, right?
Yes, it is.
And it's unlike any other food product, really, that I can think of.
Yeah. And it's further complicated by, states having their own individual, opinions and rules, I suppose. Yeah. So, I particularly agree with the health claims one, because I feel like any time you think there's a glimpse of this, anecdotally, when people are like, it really helps me, like, you want that to be true. So for different, like, and this isn't like a, I wonder whether they're going to start like defining it as like a functional beverage,
Right.
Yeah.
Can you give other examples of functional beverages?
So another functional beverage, anything with like added protein, let's say,
okay.
Or alkaline water, or water that is just infused with vitamins or minerals. Okay. At the end of the day, even coffee, I guess you could consider a functional beverage, caffeine, since it functions to wake you up.
Yeah, and other things, metabolism.
Yeah. And so, it's really any beverage that isn't just not satiating, like, quenching your thirst.
Right.
Yeah, and is supposedly, going to do something a little bit extra for your health.
Right.
So maybe in the future, if these claims about hemp are ever substantiated, if they'll consider them functional beverages.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe. I think they would have to do like food clinical research. Yes. With hemp beverages to see, maybe measure certain biomarkers, or I don't know, quality of life, like questionnaires. There's various ways they can test it, but that requires a lot of investment from the food companies themselves. So if there's any, someone has to start it eventually if they want to start using these claims. Yeah.
I also feel like I may have seen, products in the past, maybe not hemp beverages, but products, food or beverage, that have put health claims on their label, and I don't know for sure if they were true or not. I don't know. I feel like this is an industry where you can kind of get away with things like this.
Yes, like Red Bull gives you wings.
Oh.
Sorry. Yeah. We've heard a ton of weird slogans.
Yes. So maybe I'm wrong about that, but even though, it is law, I still feel like you can certainly work around and use sort of buzzwords, like promotes, gut health, or words that aren't like, it will do this, but it might do this. Yeah. So maybe you should try it and see.
Yeah.
All right, so moving on to our next story. I had never heard of this product before, and I don't want to assume anything about our audience, but I have a feeling they haven't really either. So it's called Tara flower, and it's come under scrutiny recently following a FDA declaration that it is unsafe, marking a rare assertive action against a food ingredient by the agency. And this decision could certainly expose involved manufacturers to criminal liability. So the FDA's assessment comes over 2 years after Daily Harvests, which is a food delivery, a meal kit company, their French lentil and leek crumbles product containing tara flower sickened nearly 400 people. And this ruling, which was dated last month, May 15th, is only the 15th such declaration by the agency since 2010. So the FDA stated that tara flower does not meet the standards of generally recognized as safe, or GRAS, which manufacturers can use to avoid a lengthy food additive approval process. So the FDA's declaration means that the meal delivery service and its supplier, Smirks Ltd., could face criminal charges for distributing adulterated food. And while the timeline for potential further action remains unclear, there are precedents. For example, when the FDA ruled in 2010 that caffeinated alcoholic beverages like Four Loko were unsafe, the agency issued a warning letter and threatened to seize products if sales didn't stop. So I'll talk a little bit about what taro flower actually is. So it's derived from taro trees, also known as Peruvian carob or spiny holdback, which are grown in South America. And it's a relative of alfalfa, beans, carob, clover, lentils, peas, peanuts, and tamarind. It's grown for a number of purposes, including as a food additive, like it was in this case, that acts as a stabilizer or thickening agent. It's also really high in protein, about 43% protein by weight, making it an ideal source of plant-based protein. And this is likely why Daily Harvest used taro flower as a protein source in its French lentil and leek crumbles product. So what do you think about the what I just mentioned about that this was only the 15th time that the FDA sort of took back the generally recognized as safe status on a food?
Yeah, I think they are taking kind of like a cautious approach.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if they even know themselves what is it about taro flower that causes people to get sick. Were there any deaths from that incident?
Not that I know of. I believe it just sickened 400 people.
Okay.
Yeah.
But my question is, were these two companies, so one is the food company, the other is a food meal distributor?
Yeah, so there was a supplier, Smirks, and then
Okay.
Daily Harvest, which is a fairly popular meal delivery, meal kit service.
And so they were distributing products with taro flower after the FDA's decision to revoke.
Maybe.
Because it's kind of like if they were doing it before the FDA's decision, then they are clear of any, criminal activity.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I believe yes,
If they were still doing it after the FDA's decision, knowing what the FDA, that it retracted taro flower off the generally recognized as safe ingredients, then I would see that as like a criminal act.
Yes. So what happened is that like the FDA made their final assessment on taro flower about 2 years after many people got sick from it, and at the time I believe there was a recall of this product.
Taro flower.
Yeah, or of the product that contained taro flower.
Okay.
Yeah, the crumbles. So I think you're correct in that. Yes, they didn't gain FDA approval first, or they put taro flower in the product without first gaining FDA approval. So when it sickened people and they continued to sell it, now they can face criminal charges. Yes.
Okay, they needed to get FDA approval for that product?
I believe.
Like some kind of right to use it in their products.
Yeah, so Daily Harvest, they used taro flower in its product without first obtaining FDA approval.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I get it now.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yes, they could face legal issues. And I want to talk a little bit about the GRAS system, so the generally recognized as safe system, and some of the flaws behind it. So there was a Bloomberg Law report in December of last year that highlighted how the GRAS system allows manufacturers to self-regulate on food safety and often keeping regulators out of the loop. So manufacturers can notify the FDA of a GRAS determination, but are not required to do so. So this means that there could be thousands of unidentified chemicals in food, potentially causing adverse reactions or long-term health effects. Additionally, a 2023 study published in the journal Environmental Health evaluated a total of 403 GRAS notices between 2015 and 2020, with the goal of determining whether the industry was actually adhering to FDA's guidance on best practices for convening a GRAS panel. And the study found that none of the GRAS notices voluntarily submitted to the FDA for review followed the draft guidance. So like I said, Daily Harvest used taro flower in its product without first obtaining legitimate FDA approval, leading to 133 hospitalizations and $23 million settlement with victims. And despite the product being recalled in June 2022 and identifying taro flower as the cause, the FDA found no evidence supporting this claim. So there's also some importer accountability. The taro flower safety determination underscores the FDA's willingness, though, to act on safety concerns, but does not change the overall food oversight system. So currently every company in the supply chain has a responsibility to ensure food safety, of course, with particular focus on importers. And Smirks, which is based in Colorado, imported the taro flower from Peru. And importers have to ensure that their foreign suppliers comply with safety standards. The FDA's Foreign Supplier Verification Program's rule requires importers to perform risk-based verification activities and, including ensuring that the food isn't adulterated. Now, as for legal battles going on, liability for the damage caused by taro flower is currently being contested in several lawsuits. Smirks claims that Daily Harvest owes it $226,000 for refused products, while Daily Harvest asserts that Smirks was responsible for ensuring ingredient compliance with laws. And despite the legal battles, both companies, of course, share responsibility for food safety. So yeah, it's a little bit complicated, especially the GRAS system and how voluntary it seems to be. And how, none of the companies that did voluntarily notify the FDA of their GRAS, review, they didn't follow any of the draft guidance that the FDA has put out there. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, what do you think about that?
I think even the name itself, generally recognized as safe.
We should be skeptical. Yeah. It's actually, it's our fault for not looking into this further.
Okay, it's generally recognized as safe. All right. What I'm surprised about in the first place is if taro flower is such a hazardous ingredient or potentially hazardous ingredient, wouldn't the cultures where it originated from, wouldn't they recognize that and therefore not produce it in the first place?
That's an interesting point. What I was reading about taro flower was that it's a relatively new ingredient for this purpose. It can be used for other things. I think maybe the amount of taro flower that was used in these crumbles could have exceeded a safe amount. But I think if it's used for other purposes, I'm not even sure if if people use it for this in where it originates from. Yeah. I actually can't imagine that they do. So that's an interesting thing to look into, because I feel like the alternative protein sector is always trying to find other sort of miracle ingredients, that have that protein to weight ratio like this did, 43% protein. Mm-hmm. But are also safe. And aren't, and now it's not generally recognized as safe anymore, and it sickened a lot of people. So I have to think that it's probably used safely. And yeah, I'd never heard of it before. I'm guessing you hadn't either. No. So maybe that's kind of why it was kept under wraps for a little bit. But yeah, I think it was probably one of those ingredients that they thought they'd found something here,
Yeah.
And it didn't turn out to be that way.
Yeah. That's unfortunate, really. Mm-hmm. It had potential, right?
It certainly had potential because it was natural, right? It was natural, came from a tree.
Yeah.
What could go wrong,
Protein percentage by weight.
Yeah, exactly. But
okay.
Yeah, it sickened people. And
I can't believe that, I'm just surprised, really, that was the first company to really use taro flower and to result in it getting banned. That it wasn't known before about this ingredient. But like you said, it was relatively new, right?
Yeah, it was new. Yeah. I think it was kind of a big experiment, honestly. It was a bit of an experiment, a failed one, I guess. Yeah. They
should have done more food safety studies.
Of course.
Certainly.
Yeah.
Right?
You would think.
I guess because it was on the GRAS list. GRAS or whatever. Is it GRAS?
Yeah, I call it GRAS, yeah. Okay.
Then they thought, okay, we can go ahead and use it. It doesn't matter how much we use it, it'll be fine. And then it turned out like a real hazard.
Kind of speaks to the, I won't speak for all, all meat products, but there's still a lot that we don't know about a lot of them, right? And when you are trying to achieve this sort of very well-rounded nutritional profile with a food product, in this case, seemingly too good to be true, that is often the case.
Yeah. I think, though, without meat, the FDA reviewed it thoroughly and gave it the green light, right? But I don't think they did that with taro flower. So now that they did, it'll be interesting to see what happens with this.
Yes, if they get
lawsuit.
in trouble, if it sort of ends, their the company, because it's a very prominent meal kit service, Daily Harvest.
And the food company, what Smirks. Do you know what else they produce?
No, I don't. I know they're just the I guess just supplier of food.
Okay.
So
yeah,
we'll certainly see where this goes and whether we'll never hear of taro flower again.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's the end of this episode of the Xtalks Food Podcast. If you like today's show, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. Thanks, everyone, and I'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Xtalks Food Industry Podcast. If you enjoyed our discussions today, please share the episode with your friends and colleagues, and be sure to subscribe in order to be notified when a new episode is released. To join in on the discussion, you can find Xtalks on social media. Email podcast@xtalks.com or comment on the articles directly. Links are in the show description. Take a moment to join our community at xtalks.com to get access to everything we have to offer, including webinars, job listings, virtual meetings, articles, and more. The views and opinions expressed in the podcast are those of the speakers sharing them. They should not be taken as professional advice and do not necessarily reflect the policy or position Honeycomb Worldwide. For further information, email us at podcast@xtalks.com. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week.